I am Rebecca Kamelhar, and I came to San Miguel no I didn't. I came to San Miguel July 1983.
July. And what were your first impressions?
I hated it because there was no bus station. It took me forever to get here. I took a bus from Mexico City, and it was no first-class bus. It was like a, who knows, third-class bus, I think. Got off the bus out where now is called El Parian, down by Calzada, I don't know what the heck. But I was wearing lovely Italian shoes, and I stepped in mud up to my ankle and said, I hate this place, I'm leaving in the morning. And then I went to where I had reserved to stay, took a shower, and there was a spider the size of my head. And I said, I'm really leaving. And then in the morning, I went, they had dinner, this couple said, from Texas, they said, no, 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 don't leave, come with us, have dinner. So I went with them to have dinner at Chez Max, which no longer exists. And then they said, you're young, you should go to Mamma Mia's. So I went to Mamma Mia's. And then you can ask me another question, I'll tell you what happened at Mamma Mia's.
What happened at Mamma Mia's?
I promise I wasn't going to get too personal here, because if this is going to be on YouTube. I went to Mamma Mia's, and I sat there by myself, and I had a little Walkman, and these guys were playing music. And I went for about 4 nights, and this big German guy was playing the guitar, and I really didn't see anybody else playing with him, but there was somebody there. And then I went into the bar, and someone came up behind me, put their arms around my waist, said that I was very beautiful and would I like to dance. And I said, sure. I didn't even know who the heck it was, and it was Hill. And I danced with Hill, and the rest is history. When I met Hill, my husband, aside from really liking him and kind of falling for him, I saw an opportunity to learn a language and assimilate into a culture, which I've done often in my life. It's what I like to do. Why San Miguel in the first place? Because I was a teacher in Los Angeles. I taught English as a second language. I didn't like Los Angeles. I never did. And in the teacher's room, older teachers, I was a young teacher, they said, go to Mexico. Go to Mexico for the summer. And I said, I don't want to go to Mexico. I mean, if you're raised in Los Angeles, Mexico's the last place you want to go. They said, no, 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 you can write it off on your taxes if you take Spanish. I thought, all right, I'll get out of Los Angeles. I said, so where should I go in Mexico? And they said, well, you have 2 choices. They said, Cuernavaca or San Miguel. I said, what's the difference? They said, Cuernavaca, you live with a family behind a gated community or wall. San Miguel is more of a party town. I said, I need a party. I'll go to San Miguel.
I see.
So that's why I came. I grew up as a kid from the time I was probably 4 until I was 8. I grew up in Pennsylvania, in a place called Lyon Station, Pennsylvania, outside of Kutztown, which was outside of Reading. So it was a really small little place. And it was the 50s. And San Miguel reminded me of that, the innocence, the freshness of it. Seeing young girls walking down the street arm in arm, you know, boys pulling girls' pigtails, all those things. I liked it. I didn't like Los Angeles. I didn't like the big city. I had no desire to be in a big city. And it just kind of made sense. And also, it's just a very bohemian town then. Completely different. I'm not completely different. It's still bohemian.
What do you mean? What was the social scene like?
Well, for me, because I was with Hill,
yeah,
and he was a musician, and he's young. He's quite a bit younger than I am. We hung out with all musicians and bohemian people that didn't have a penny, and it was a lot of fun. You know, it was the kind of life I liked. You know, you get 10 people. We'd let each other know. Everybody pitch in whatever they had. 2 people would bring 1 bottle of wine. 4 people would bring another bottle of wine because nobody had any money. You know, and we'd cook something up in a big pot, and it was a lot of fun. Where do I see San Miguel going over the next? If I'm alive, 25 years, I'll be like 90 or something. I'm concerned about San Miguel. Many years back, when my daughter was about 2, I went to the American consul to register her as a foreign birth abroad. And so I ended up talking with Phil Marr, who was the American U.S. consular agent. And we had to talk, and I said, you know, how could I get your job? Because he said he was going to retire. He said, oh, I'll recommend you hands down, just come on in and work with me. So I did for 2 years, every day. And, but then after 2 years, he said, guess what, I'm not retiring. But anyway, in my capacity there, I would go translate for the mayor. And one time I went to translate, there was all the city officials, and I meagerly, hard to imagine me, I timidly raised my hand and I said, can I make a suggestion? And this is a long time ago. This is, my daughter's 26, so this was 23 years ago. I said, I suggest that the city buy a lot of land at each entrance to the city and put up in municipal parking lots and not allow outside vehicles to come into the town. It'll be money, revenue for the city, and then you have combis, you know, Volkswagen vans that are electric or natural, I don't know, something that they're not polluting, and that'll be more revenue for the city. And people, then you can open up the streets, sidewalks, people can walk, you know, it'll be good for business. They actually booed me out of the room. They did. They went like this. They went boo, and I said, okay, fine, you know.
Why?
They said to me, no tourist is going to come here if they can't drive their own car. I said, you know, I come from California, Los Angeles, I mean, Santa Monica, California. They closed off Santa Monica years ago. It's a big city. They closed it off, and people park out, you know, and they said no. So that, to me, that worries me about San Miguel. The traffic really concerns me because it's out of control at this point. It really is out of control now. And that the fact that they're building more and more up on the hills and on the outskirts, I mean, you multiply all those condos and whatever by one or two, by two, because most people will have 2 cars. I have no idea what the heck they're going to do. But on the upside, I mean, culturally, it's much more exciting, the town. The quality of cultural things that are happening is much higher, I think, much more refined. The mixture of people, and there are more Mexicans coming, you know, more foreigners coming, not just Americans. I think that's good. I don't want to live anywhere else but here. I have no intention of leaving. I don't like the traffic, of course. I mean, I think that's one of my biggest complaints now about San Miguel is the cars. I could say things I'm not going to say on film. You know, I mean, I don't like, you know, I love San Miguel because it's a place where things happen that they don't happen anywhere else. You get people together who, some are millionaires and some are hippie artists, and some are, you know, some are intellectuals and some have never read a book, and some are Republicans and some are Democrats, and they're all hanging out together and getting along, and I like that. You know, and my brother who lives in Dallas, Texas, I tell him about San Miguel, and I say, you should come, and he'll go, or I'll tell him what's happened, and he'll say, that doesn't happen anywhere else. That happens in San Miguel. I said, but that doesn't happen anywhere else.